Every car person at one time or another has longed for an M3. For decades considered the benchmark sports sedan. But the introduction of the smaller M2 several years ago has somewhat repositioned this model, and here again, it continues to grow while preserving its track-ready nature. This is the next generation M3 Competition.
Originally designed as a race car that would also have a road-going version, the M3 has been in production now for 35 years. But just a decade ago, the M3 sedan was 9 inches shorter and weighed 1,000 pounds less than it does now, leading some BMW enthusiasts to turn to the subcompact 2 Series Coupe for their rear-wheel drive thrills. And compared with the previous generation car, which was introduced in 2014, this one is wider, nearly 5 inches longer, and slightly taller. The V8 is long gone, but the power is greater than ever. This highest-level competition model now produces 503 horsepower from its twin-turbo inline-6, revving to a 7,200 RPM redline through an upgraded 8-speed ZF automatic transmission that feels very much like a dual-clutch gearbox. Now, if you're looking for the 6-speed manual, it's not available here on the comp due to this car's increased torque output of 479 pound-feet. Other competition upgrades over the standard M3 include larger wheels and tires, 19s in the front, 20s in the rear, M seatbelts, and extended Shadowline exterior trim. And my car goes all in with the over $8,000 carbon ceramic brakes, $4,700 carbon exterior package, and these $3,800 carbon bucket seats, among other options, taking the price from $73,795 to nearly $100,000. That's a serious M3 for some very serious money.
The drive is everything I thought it would be and actually more. Now, I knew the ride would be firm, the power prodigious, and the Steptronic transmission quicker than quick. But the more part of the equation comes from this car's wide dynamic range. Now, with all of the systems set to their comfort modes and the exhaust hushed, this is actually a very compliant everyday cruiser. Now, the performance tires are wide and do create some noise. Otherwise, the cabin is pretty quiet. And then at the other end of the spectrum, the M3 is a handling machine with so much grip that you would think that this car is the upcoming all-wheel drive model. The speed builds so rapidly and the car is so tractable that it's almost too good in the sense that driving it safely on public roads can at times feel a little mundane. This car is just crying out for a racetrack.
Off public roads, the M3 is a fun little drift car with a neat drift analyzer on board to measure your sliding heroics. Once you kill dynamic stability control, you can then play with the 10 levels of traction control to suit conditions and your driving style. For me, 4 was a good landing spot for some controlled power slides.
So the launch control sequence here is definitely more convoluted than it needs to be, just ask Dodge, but here's how it goes. So you want to make sure that the DSC is completely off. So you hold this button down here, and now I have confirmation of that in both places. Next, we want to make sure that we are in the manual shift mode with all 3 bars showing here. We have both of those things. Then it's left foot firmly on the brake, then on the gas, then wait for it to be prepared, and then you're off. Preparing launch control, and it's active.
The 3.8-second 0 to 60 time is quick, but it takes some time for the turbos to build boost, so it feels a little hesitant right off the line. And even with the dual-stage exhaust system, there's not a lot of sound here, and what sound there is isn't overly appealing. But in manual mode, working these very cool carbon paddles, there is mechanical excellence combined with some straight-six music. Leave it in auto and you've got 3 levels of shifting intensity from which to choose. And it's uncanny how much this transmission emulates the characteristics of a manual. Comfort, Sport, and Sport Plus settings can be applied to a number of variables, including the electronically controlled shocks, and then programmed into these red M switches on the wheel for quick personality changes. Separate from that are M modes for the various driver assistance features and the excellent head-up display. For example, Sport mode adds a tachometer and gear indicator and a wider view out ahead of you.
Turkeys. Gobble, gobble.
The steering is excellent, helping the M3 hold a steady, precise line. And the carbon ceramics play friendlier in everyday driving than other such racing brakes I've recently tested. Being glued into these buckets only adds to the sensation of unrelenting grip that'll have you tackling each corner like you were on your favorite road course. Nothing about this M3 says to the driver it's too big or disconnected. It is ridiculously good.
The M carbon bucket seats look amazing, they save weight, and they hold you in place like none other. But I suggest you save that $3,800 and spend it elsewhere unless you are seriously considering racing this car on a regular basis. Because it is harder getting in and out of this vehicle than any other one that I have ever tested. And my other rub against the M3's cabin is just how convoluted all of the drive controls are. Yes, choices are good, and being able to individually customize all of the mechanicals in a car of this ilk is welcome. But BMW could definitely simplify all of this beyond just these two programmable M buttons up here. As a matter of fact, I think it would behoove their engineers to spend some time in a Hellcat.
This Silverstone black, full leather interior is my favorite color combo. And having wireless Apple CarPlay is a big plus, but inexplicably, there's no wireless charge pad, even though it looks like there is. There's a combination of USB-A and C ports throughout. The touchscreen, rotary, and voice-controlled iDrive system is relatively easy to navigate and packed full of cool features, and a brake hold function comes in handy while sitting in traffic. And because it's so compliant, you can use these spacious rear seats for willing adult passengers. And the 13 cubic foot trunk is a little bigger than before. Gas mileage is rated at 19 mpg in combined driving, with a raised top speed of 180 miles per hour, which also includes a day of professional BMW driver training. At night, the changeable ambient lighting looks great. This is a big bucks car, but it delivers the legendary M3 driving experience you covet, just in a larger, more complete luxury sedan package. For TestDriveNow.com, I'm Steve Hannis.